Hello crafty friends, today I want to share with you how to create this A7 sized interactive card featuring the beautiful zero waste Fluttering Fantasies die set from Altenew. This card was inspired by another crafter. I will link to her original video in the description box, along with the supply list. This mechanism combines an asymmetric post armature mounted onto two interlocking planes with integrated B-folds. Together, these elements power a series of pivoting arms that transform the opening motion of the card into a graceful, fluttering display, allowing the butterflies to appear as though they are dancing through the air as the card opens. Let's get started. First, we will create the asymmetric platform that I will refer to as the butterfly platform. Begin with a strip measuring 1/2 inch by 5.5 inches, scored at 7/8 of an inch, 1 1/4, 2, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/2, 4 1/4, and 4 5/8 inches. Cut the strip in half and apply double-sided adhesive as shown. Be careful not to place adhesive over any of the score lines. Create two parallelograms by attaching the small tab on each strip to the back side of the opposite end tab. You will notice that in one direction, the parallelograms fall flat, while in the other, they form a triangle. Once both are assembled, attach the short vertical sides together. Set this piece aside for now. Now, we will create the interlocking mechanism. Start with a rectangle measuring 5.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Place it horizontally on your scoring board and score at 1/2 inch. Label the top of the score line as point A and the bottom as point D. Score again at 1 inch. Make pencil marks at 1.5 inches along both the top and bottom edges. Label these points as C and F. Next, score at 5 inches. Rotate the rectangle 90 degrees clockwise and score at 1 1/8 inches. Next, along the 1 inch score line, make tick marks 1/2 inch from both the top and bottom edges and label these points as B and E. Draw diagonal lines from point A to point B to point C, point D to point E, and point E to point F. Next, locate the 4.5 inch mark and create a score line that extends from 9/16 of an inch to 1 11/16 inches. Cut the rectangle into two strips and cut the slits as shown. Crease the diagonal lines to create B-folds and then mount and fold all remaining score lines. I also stamped the inside of my card base using the Cascading Flowers Outline Stamp set and Obsidian pigment ink. Off camera, I created a notch on the right side of my card base using a small circle die. You could use a hole punch instead. Now interlock both strips, making sure the B-fold on the left sits at the top while the B-fold on the right strip sits at the bottom. Position the strips as center as possible inside the card, aligning the interlocked section with the card's center fold. Secure the strips with low-tack tape and lightly mark their position. Then, stamp over both strips for a seamless design. Once stamped, adhere the left strip to the right side of the card and the right strip to the left side of the card. This creates a diamond-shaped box structure at the center fold. Now, your planes should look like wings. Test the mechanism to make sure both strips move freely. To attach the open ends, fold the end tab with exposed adhesive underneath and simply close the card. If positioned correctly, the B-fold will automatically fall into place. Repeat for the opposite side. Now it's time to add the butterfly platform. Align the flat short side with the card's center fold and adhere it over the interlocked strips. Next, attach thin doubled-up cardstock strips to the outer triangles of the B-folds and to both sections on the butterfly platform. Be careful not to interfere with the movement of the mechanism. Off camera, I die cut butterflies from several A7 sized color panels and assemble them mixing and matching the layers. Attach the butterflies to the arms, B-folds, and the planes except the arm where you will add the sentiment. For the sentiment, adhere a blank die cut behind the cardstock arm and then attach the die cut sentiment on top. It is time to finish the back and front of the card. I stamped a separate A7 sized panel and attached it to the back side of the card using dimensional tape, creating a pocket for the note card. The front of the card is decorated using one of the negative die cut panels, several small butterflies, and a sentiment mounted with dimensional tape. As a final touch, I created a vellum belly band using a strip measuring 1 by 11 inches and embellished it with a large butterfly that was backed with an extra base layer for extra stability. I hope you enjoyed today's project and found the mechanism interesting. If you give this idea a try, I'd love to see your creation. Please don't forget to tag me. Also, don't forget to follow and subscribe for more tutorials like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Happy crafting!